Welcome to rSlash Today I Effed Up, where OP burns the skin off of his butt cheeks. Today I effed up by buying KY at Walmart. I went to Walmart to pick up some stuff. First item on my list, bottle of the old faithful KY jelly. I walked into the pharmacy section to find all of that paraphernalia is now locked in a glass box. I stood there in disbelief. I have to ask for access to the slip and slide now? Am I 14 again? Seriously? I was about to walk off, not wanting to ask a stranger to unlock the box. I mean, vegetable oil is cheaper anyway, right? But then a female employee just happened to walk by and ask if I needed the box opened. I sheepishly nodded my head yes, trying not to make any noise that would attract unwanted attention from the 20 people in the pharmacy line. So out of her pocket comes the loudest keychain full of keys I've ever heard. People in the toy section turned to see what the noise was and then made their kids look away. Everyone in the pharmacy turned and looked at me like, "Oh, Karen, look at that fat, creepy guy who's too good to buy Jergens like normal people." So, as she's unlocking the box, she bangs those keys all over the glass, making even more noise as she opens the door. In haste to get out of the situation as fast as possible, I reach in and grab my preferred jelly product and turn to leave. She yells at me, with everyone watching, excuse me, I have to carry that to the front for you." Seriously? Please tell me no. Shampoo is starting to feel like a reasonable option at this point. So she grabs it out of my hand and starts walking. I won't have to shake the bottle because this very energetic woman, 4'11" fireball, is dramatically waving hello at every single fellow employee with my tug goo in her hand. Meanwhile, I try to invisibly walk 5 paces behind her. Once my creep walk journey was finally at the front of the store, this woman led me past all the other customers and hands the jerk jelly to the manager on duty, pointing at me, and said in the loudest socially acceptable voice for someone watching a playoff football game, "This is for this man," and pointed at me. The manager on duty, yet another woman in my life that silently judges me, started walking without making eye contact and says, "Come this way." Well, I'd planned to do that, but after this public Walmart humiliation, I'm not sure I can muster the concentration to make this purchase necessary. We made our way to self-checkout as she held the bottle with 2 fingers and an outstretched arm like a dirty diaper. That's when I realized, with all the unbelievable, embarrassing display of following the hand waver to the front, I didn't get anything else on my list. My handbasket was completely empty. So my entire purchase was KY jelly. The lady looked at me and said, "Is this all you needed?" Well, yes, because I left my dignity back in the pharmacy. And that is the story of my last Walmart purchase ever. OP, when she asked if you needed anything else, you should have said, "Oh, right, I need a box of tissues." Today I effed up by buying a car with heated seats that burnt my butt and pelvic bone. I have to lay on my stomach for 3 months and will miss Christmas and New Year's Eve. I've been a paraplegic since a military accident in 2004. I've always lived independently and taken very good care of myself and my butt because sitting pressure plus lack of sensation and decreased blood flow in paralyzed areas can cause pressured sores that never heal, and I like to be as active as possible. So I check my skin every day with a mirror or phone camera, change position, lift myself to allow blood flow, etc. I spent a lot of time in the hospital following my initial injury and saw guys living with open weeping sores that never heal. It terrified me. Search for pressure sore paraplegic if you enjoy being disgusted. And I'm proud to say I've never had a pressure sore because I'm so careful despite skiing, kayaking, and even paragliding still. Basically, I'm a dumb with a numb but I look after it. Normally. I had an open book pelvic fracture when I was hurt back in 2004 and quite a few other problems at the same time, so they put me back together in a bit of a rush while, I don't know, resuscitating me and stuff. My pelvis is now tilted down to one side. When I sit, it's considerably lower and bears all the weight. The leg on that side looks 3 inches longer than the other. As I sat in my car for a 3-hour drive home, that side of my pelvis must have been pushing directly onto the heated element within the seat. Even though it wasn't hot enough to burn immediately, I suffered a low heat burn after 3 hours, which is way worse than it sounds. I could feel the heat on my lumbar region and never thought it would be able to burn me. I even turned the heat to the low setting to be careful. That night, I checked my skin and found my worst nightmare, which got worse. What initially looked superficial developed a softball-sized blister overnight that burst to show something looking like an effect from The Walking Dead. 2 weeks later, and the first layers of dead tissue are starting to lift. The skin is healing. Now, I just have to worry about osteomyelitis. OP included pictures of his wound, and I'm not going to post them here, but suffice to say, it looks like someone took a blowtorch to his butt cheek. Yikes. Today I effed up by sleeping with earplugs. This is like out of a dang cartoon. A couple of days ago, the cows in my village were going absolutely bonkers. Me not being able to sleep and having an exam in the morning had the billion-dollar idea to take my most soundproof earplugs and go to sleep. I fell asleep in like 5 minutes. I also like to set my ringtone to a very quiet bird noise so I don't wake up scared to death and stressed. Of course, how I should have foreseen. I didn't hear my alarm and overslept by 3 flipping hours. When I woke up, my exam had been over for an hour. Now, this is not that big of a deal. I just have to get a doctor's note and I can retake it. So off to the doctor's office I go, trying to fix this mess. I had to come up with a reason why I couldn't go to my exam today. I told the doctor I had massive ear pain, a headache, and some nausea. Doctor checked me, and I ended up having an infected wisdom tooth. I just didn't notice it somehow. I had some pain here and there, but it felt like it was coming out of my temporomandibular joint, which I've had problems with before. Anyway, at least I have my doctor's note now. First problem fixed. I chose to get said wisdom tooth pulled because it was crooked anyway and the infection would probably reoccur. Mom drives me to the dental surgeon. I get drugged up real good. Tooth pulled, everything went fine. Got in the car with Mom, told her about every time I've done drugs and all the gay intercourse I've had. She didn't know I was gay. Now, I'm in a ton of pain, my mom won't look me in the eyes anymore, and I can't sleep because the cows are going insane again. OP, that story got wilder and wilder with each sentence. Today I effed up by not wanting to die a little too much. Here's some relevant info. I live on the 5th floor. It doesn't sound impressive, but the building is tall, so our 5th floor is like 8th or 9th floor, really. Our apartment has 2 floors, and the light bulbs in our house is orangish colored. This will matter in a second. I live with half of my family, including an uncle who's in a wheelchair. Around 4 a.m., I woke up to the sound of the smoke detector blaring and the smell of something burnt. My heart drops to the floor and I jumped out of bed, and because I was in such a hurry to leave, I forgot to wear my glasses. Everything is blurry, but I can see some things. My sister emerges from her room and beats me to the stairs, goes down, stops, and then climbs back up. It's at this point my heart sunk even further. My heart is thundering in my chest, and I choke on a sob that desperately wants to come out. In my mind's eye, I can see it so clearly. Flames licking the kitchen cabinet above the stove and slowly spreading to us. So many things began to run in my head. How are we going to safely evacuate my uncle? Do we leave him behind? Wait, how do my sister and I descend down? Should we try jumping out the window into our neighbor's balcony? Will our death be quick or slow and agonizing? I, being the avid reader and TV watcher I am, decided the best course of action is to grab my blanket, wet it, and wrap it around myself, and that's exactly what I did. I also forced the wet blanket around my sister, despite her loud protests, and shoved her down the stairs with me so we can run through the fire together. Except, there are no fires. My blind, stupid self was so confused and focused on trying to survive that I didn't even take a second to take a proper look at my surroundings. It would have taken a second. One question is all I had to ask. One question and this entire matter would have been resolved. My sister didn't descend because there was a fire blocking her way. She didn't do it because she realized my brother had the situation under control. The orange lights I saw weren't fire, they were light from our stupid effing made by Satan light bulbs. I wrote, directed, filmed, and acted out an entire drama in my own head while everyone went back to sleep, safe and sound and sane. So now I'm in my room, shivering because it's cold as anything, and the only blanket I had is effing drenched. Apparently, for no effing reason. My sister has an ankle sprain because I pushed her too hard, and she fell down the remaining stairs. I worked myself up so much I vomited, and I'm still feeling weak. I'm the butt of all jokes, and our family chat group is lit with jokes, and from my room, I can still hear the wheezing of my brother's breathless laughter. And every time I think he's done, he cracks even harder. I've got this weird gut feeling I'm not gonna live this down. What the F? Next time your brother cracks a joke, I would just look at him and say, remember, my first instinct was to save my sister, not you. Today I effed up 13 years in the making. An hour ago, I discovered what our conversations were all about. 13 or so years ago, I worked as a paralegal, having done a law degree at the age of 40. The firm of solicitors I worked at were part of a big chain who produced free wills via workspace offers and trade union deals. People would fill out a form, send it in, and we would construct their will based on the preferences on the form. I was sharing an office with an attractive, funny, and smart young woman about 23 who gave me the appropriate training to complete the wills. At the time, I was 46. She had dumped her boyfriend of several years because she found out he had been sleeping with someone else while she was at university. Their hometown was several hundred miles away. During her brief period of being single, she asked me what sort of age gap between people was acceptable. We had long conversations about it. I told her I knew of couples who were 5, 10, 12, 15, and 17 years older or younger than their wife/husband/partner. She then mentioned that she had heard that centuries ago, older men often married much younger women as they were more able to take care of said younger woman who was more likely to survive childbirth and go on to be a good mother while the more mature husband's income kept them comfortable. She kept asking my opinion and asked if I would ever consider seeing a younger or older woman than me. Not thinking it very likely, I just shrugged and avoided the question. Throughout the months we worked together, we often went out for work and at the weekends in a group. She would dress very provocatively, and on the occasion she wore stockings, she would let me know she was. I'd previously confessed to having a particular weakness and fondness for them. After several months, she got onto a solicitor's training program and left. We kept in touch and met on occasion for food, coffees, or drinks. After a couple of years, she met someone at her new firm and we stopped meeting. They got married and had a baby. I bumped into her about an hour ago in court. I was delivering some papers and she was there representing a client. She was all over me and insisted we had a coffee and a chat. It was then that she told me that the reason for asking about the big age gap relationships was that she had a massive crush on me, but was too scared of damaging our friendship by doing anything about it, but hoped that I would. When she finally decided it wasn't going to happen, she left. Of course, I had absolutely no idea this was going on, and that this gorgeous young woman had any interest in me beyond friendship. Honestly, I could cry. Here's a tip for you, OP. When a woman talks to you about what underwear and lingerie she's wearing, she's probably into you. Today I effed up by causing $3,000 of damage with $4 of ice. Preface, I drive a BMW and am all too aware of their fabulously terrible repair costs. I know it's absurd and can be remedied by replacing my car with a Toyota. I've experienced the absurdity, and I've owned a Toyota. I am where I am and I love my car blindly, but this is just too stupid to not share. We were headed to the in-laws on Christmas Eve when my check engine light came on and my dash threw an error. Increased steer effort, drive moderately. While mostly unnoticeable on the highway or even surface roads, driving under 15 miles per hour, parking lots, turning from a stop, etc. was like steering through sand. Between half the family having caught the flu, even with flu shots, the holidays, and end-of-year work deadlines, I didn't get my car to the shop until yesterday. Additionally, in the past week, sometimes the error would just go away, but it always came back. I got the call at 2 p.m. today, and the service technician began the call by asking me to not be mad at him. Never a good sign. He explained that there were control units in the trunk, one of which was causing the power steering error. But all three were sitting in water, so there must be a leak in my trunk. Repair estimate, $3,200. I was put on hold while he tracked down answers to my various questions, primarily the names of the control units and info on what each controlled. And it dawned on me. I had gone to a friend's party the Sunday before Christmas, and in loading the car Tuesday, Christmas Eve, I found 2 empty bags of ice. They hadn't been needed, I brought 12 total, I think, and I had totally forgotten about them for 2 days. The trunk mat was wet, so I threw down a few towels and hid it over, now late to the in-laws, and didn't think of it again. When he was back on the phone, I told the service technician what had happened and explained that I was skeptical of the leak theory, that I'm really just an idiot. I asked him what I owed him for drying up the water they found and for the diagnosis, $0, and told him I'd like to wait on the repairs. My hope is that a dehumidifier in the car for a few days will dry up any remaining water and these control units will be just fine, especially considering it was working intermittently before I dropped it off to be checked. At a minimum though, I want to get a second opinion and another quote before laying down $1,145 in labor to replace these 3 easily accessible control units. That all said, I don't know what's more stupid, me leaving ice in the car to melt, or BMW casually leaving, Reed purposefully installing, $2,000 worth of electronics under the trunk mat in plastic cups that hold water. The service tech shared that he'd seen this before when a guy spilled a bucket of fish in the trunk of his X5. That was rSlash Today I Effed Up, and unless you hit that like button, then today you effed up.